And welcome in. I'm glad you're here. We are. I don't have the light above me on because the sun's still out. If it's too dark, I know my shirt's kind of dark, but sometimes the light when the sun's out is too much. That's why I'm going for here. But if I need to switch the light on, I will get up to this way and switch the light on. Welcome in. Glad you guys are here. You know, this is the space of spaces for us. I appreciate all you guys who watch, listen, and take part in. Please help us with our work here, if you wouldn't mind and feel led, and just drop us some money definitely on what is it called? PayPal, West Coast Uncensored, no C. That's unsend with no C, spelled wrong purposely. West Coast Uncensored, Daniel Abril with a D and the A, as you see on my screen here. Daniel Abril, DBY, D boy, small letters, WCU. That would be my what's the other one I do? Not PayPal, the other one. Not WhatsApp. What is it called? Dang. My gosh, how can you not remember? Cash App. And it's D-Boy, West Coast Uncensored, Daniel Abril, and that will get it on Cash App, okay? But if you can give, we want to upgrade. I need to upgrade something because there's something not connecting to my camera. Found out what it is. It's actually my a part of my computer that does the Wi-Fi part, not the Wi-Fi part, but the Bluetooth part's not working on this computer no more. So if we can get it on something else, if we can get it, we're going to go in, I'm going to take it in to have it seen what we can do. I didn't want to send it into the company because they're going to send it, take their time. I'm just going to go to mom and pop's place in the area and have it fixed. So anybody could help with anything. Not begging, but also knowing this, I put a lot of work in here, and if you could help, and this has been a blessing to you, and I believe abundance will be open to you for helping. But anyways, let's get into what we do. What we do today is definitely, we just talked about the Hopi prophecies and the man with the red hat, which blew my mind with everything we're seeing in the regular world. And then, we're getting into something different today. And I told you, when we go into Western occult teachings of the different disciplines that have been around many 100 years and more, hundreds of years, 1,000 years in West, we know it goes back even longer in the East and even China and that. So we got Tao, we got Buddhism, we got Confucianism. But did you guys know that this is also esoteric? Mysticism in these areas of Eastern Chinese philosophy, and I always wonder, why don't we know about it? And as I've been listening and going through my studying with this Chinese young lady, found out they've kept it pretty much closed mouth. They don't advertise it like we do. She's one of the very few people that teach it to, is included everybody to teach it to. And I'm going to share her video and some writing about it. Was when I really looked it up and looked it up on myself. She was mentioned there. And I was like, is anybody else besides her really teach the occultism, the esotericism, the alchemyism of Chinese, Taoism, Buddhism, Confucianism, all the things that are very ancient, way older than our Western counterparts of Western occultism, Western mysticism, and all the occult practices in the West. And I told you that, so I've been diving in myself, some of the East with this young lady. And I don't think she's not as young as the other two I share. Of course, a lot of people that are Asian really hold their age good, but I kind of feel she's a little older, very wise, and a teacher, and even has classes online and stuff. But I'm showing, and I'm connecting the East and the West, showing you they're very, very similar and the same in how this is interacted and taught. So we're gonna get into this right now. And I'm going to share the page and we're going to go for it. Let me move this out of my way. I know this is not in your way, but let me pull this up. Let's go to the top. I was looking at this and I was kind of surprised. So here we go. So I looked up Buddhist, Taoist, esotericism, and of course I found it. And then immediately I find the person I learned it from. So there's not many teaching it, and this is what's happening. They don't teach it outside their culture. It's very ancient. In fact, it reminds me a little bit of my buddy who's a Blackfoot. I got to check my phone. Somebody's coming, and I told them, give me a heads up before they come because I'm running some videos, and it wasn't them. I'm doing some videos, so you won't walk in on me. I want to be complete. He mentioned verbal, handed down knowledge verbally within the tribe, not written anywhere, not given to people outside of it, all oral knowledge handed down from generation to generation to generation in his Blackfeet Indian tribe. And this reminds me of this because you don't really find people that teach the outsiders this. The reality, since communism's hit China, it's decreased amongst the young people into Western philosophy, Western teaching, and I'm not talking a Western occult spiritual teaching. I'm talking about base education, what we see in Western ideology of how we live, which really pushes spirituality and knowledge out, those types of knowledges out. And since the communism try to snuff it out, right? This is really ancient. This goes back 3,000 and 4,000 years ago, even through the dynasties, very ancient dynasties. When this woman she'll even teach you this dynasty was doing this. Very, very a lot of knowledge. And I just wanted to tie this, and she's a very good teacher. And so let's read some of it before we go to her very short video. Taoism is a nature-based religion, philosophy, and 2,000-year-old tradition of sorcery, native to China since the Zhou dynasty. In the same time Buddhist enters China and the modality of it, exoteric Buddhism, is blended with Taoism. So Taoism and Buddhism definitely have every aspect that we talk here with the mysticism, the occultisms, all the hermeticisms, all the things they had. They were actually saying things, even locking it up into science. Things they discovered within the last 100 years were said 2,000 and 3,000 and 4,000 years ago, and a lot of these teaching of the Taoist and the Buddhism and the and occultism. They were telling you the truth 3,000 and 4,000 years ago that Western academia discovers now in energy factors. They were telling it back then a long time ago. So they actually, West didn't discover it. It's just the way that we're prompted with the educational system, right? But they were actually teaching it. Let me see if I can get some more deeper details. What's the difference? What are the different types of esoteric Buddhism? And as you see, Chinese, Japanese esotericism, and Buddhism, and on, even Korean, Vietnam, they were that. Which Buddhist traditions use the esoteric method? Contemporary Chinese Buddhism, Jap Zen, there's your Japanese Zen, Korean Buddhism, and Vietnam Buddhism. So anything that has anything to do with this has been around, and doing it as we're learning, and many of us are here, the esoteric Buddhism, and this is mostly Buddhism. It's not talking Tao. They intermingle in their when they go into it, because it's really stopping at esotericism when I really was looking at, and I put Buddhist and Tao. Let me do something here. I'm gonna research this and see what pops up, because I did put the Buddhist and Tao, right? Esotericism, and see if it pops up the same. It does. So it's not much saying here about the Taoist, but it's going to both in Confucianism has occultic in that. So we're going to learn some stuff. I'm going to do more videos on this because I find it very to our history, because the sun shines in the east and goes down in the west. We even know that's even a scripture, but the sun rises in the east and goes down in the west. is definitely there. So let's go ahead and let's watch some of this video. Even goes into here. Let me go Audible, Amazon. Taoism's a rich. Let's read this a little bit here. Taoism is a rich history of continuously developing esoteric practice over centuries, along with the integration of various techniques from other traditions, right? Such as communication with spirits, meditation, body movements, medicine, and eternal alchemy. There are thousands of Taoists of an esoteric nature as the Daozang compilation. So you're seeing this is this is ancient. As you can see, the yin and yang is a occultist symbol. And we can go down farther, but let's go into the video. And her name is Benebell Win. And I've been watching her videos. I really deep dived recently and found this that the connection of this, right? How the connection of this goes into there. So let's look at this. And this is a very short video.
This is a 6-part video series that will be your primer into Buddhist Taoist esotericism, and you are watching video number 1. Basically, I am inviting you to learn more about the occult traditions I practice. I'll be approaching this lecture series as a graduate level seminar, more like something you might find in academia. I hope anyone from any background interested in the topic can get something out of this lecture, but I want to take a moment here at the beginning to address those like myself, who look like me. Those of us who are part of the Chinese and Taiwanese diaspora, it can be a struggle to connect with your heritage and roots. I hope over the course of this lecture, I can begin to foster in you what took me a very long time to do for myself, and that is to gain a profound depth of pride for my heritage, where I come from, and more important, who I come from. We are the descendants of the dragon. Oh yeah, fun fact, the Chinese and Chinese diaspora, we call ourselves the descendants of the dragon. What's the deal with the dragon? According to our mythology, Huangdi, the Yellow Emperor, is the father of the Chinese civilization. When the country was embattled in a great war, the Yellow Emperor called upon the gods of heaven for help, and heaven sent Zhou Tianquan, the Lady of the Ninth Heaven, to give him a hand. She taught him the art of war and the art of magic. From her, the emperor learned how to transform himself into a golden dragon. Again, mythology. Since he's a dragon and he's the father of the Chinese civilization and we're Chinese, his scions, we call ourselves the descendants of the dragon, 龙的传人. The narrative of the Yellow Emperor, while by most accounts is a historic figure, is nevertheless steeped in mythology and magic, with many accounts of beasts, demons, patron gods, and spirits helping the Yellow Emperor, and descriptions of war and battles that involve equal parts military strategy and shamanism. According to mythology, Sangxie, who was said to have lived around 2650 BC, saw the footprints of birds, and from that was inspired to invent writing. If you look at relics of the first form of Chinese writing, or Chinese oracle bone script, it does resemble the footprints of birds. Also, according to myth, when Sangxie invented writing, the demons in hell shook with fear. Why would they shake in fear from the invention of writing? Well, the ancient Chinese believed writing to be magical. Writing is how humans can communicate with heaven. Words were believed to be magical, and this belief isn't unique to the Chinese. It's part of the Western consciousness as well. In 1916, Sigmund Freud said, "Words and magic were, in the beginning, one and the same thing."
Did you hear what Sigmund Freud said and what she had said about the Golden Emperor with the words and they were magic is why we do word of the day here. This goes hand in hand why we do word of the day, because words hold power, which are magic and creative. And by doing that, that's why words are so important of what they actually mean. And we have to decipher, especially in the West and here, with a language that is very, I have mentioned before, which is very much with words that have 3 meanings and words that have, the same word. There's 3 different meanings for the same words, because that language there, that's where the hijacking takes place. Actually, if you look it up, that type of language, and I'm forgetting the word, and I've said it in the past, that our language of English is actually a language that allows a hijacking. And actually, if you look it up, it will say, and hopefully it comes to me before this video, or you look at a past video and you might be saying, the word D-boy is this, is the fact that people would use this language with the multiple meanings of word. What is that? What's that mean again? God, that I hate when that's slipping. Is how you would have control over people and keep an upper elite and a lower, and you can dominate them because they don't understand. They're cursing themselves. They're not giving themselves power. Just like I found the word weird. Weird is a power, not some. It's made to be like you're some kind of strange person. You're strange to them who keep following the masses, which is exoteric. But esoteric would give you the power to know that you can change your fate, which that's what weird means. I make a U-turn, meaning you have power to take your wheel and change directions. But anyways, very powerful.
Words retain magical power.
There it goes.
Also, why was that earliest form of writing called oracle bone script? Because the earliest records of Chinese writing we have today were found on oracle bones, which were used by Neolithic shamans for divination and prophecy. The history of how Chinese writing came to be relates to magic. But we'll get into history a little later in this lecture series. Now let's start at the beginning. Chinese occultism is, in short, a syncretic practice of esoteric Buddhism and esoteric Taoism, and now we're going to cover the legacy, the religion, and the sorcery. In this video installment, we'll address what I mean when I say Taoism. This introduction will offer a framework for the rest of the lecture series. Then the video after this one will be a history lesson for you on Taoism and Buddhism in China. Then let's address the cult.
I gotta stop it real quick. Equivocal language, more than one meaning instead of just the word means this and that's it. We have those three. If you have equivocal language, that's how you can cast spells and also keep a lower class down, because they start speaking things on themselves and they don't have the knowledge that they are. That's what I mean. But this is really good stuff. I like her outline even too.
Cultural practice of Taoist sorcery. What does Taoist magic actually look like? The science and metaphysics behind Taoist magic is complex, involved, and requires a great deal of discipline and dedication. Let's talk Taoist metaphysics. It's next to impossible to talk about any so-called pure form of Chinese occultism. In fact, the very nature of esoteric Taoism is syncretic, so we'll discuss what that means. The final video lecture in the series will address contemporary practices of Taoist magical traditions. First, an introduction to the subject. Taoism is a religion and spiritual philosophy premised on the Tao. Tao means the way, the path. It also means the teachings. Taoism emphasizes the importance of the journey. Not only are the experiences along your journey formative, but the very path you choose to take will be formative. Implied in the very root of Taoist thought is a presumption that there is no one defined or definitive path, no single way, no one-size-fits-all when it comes to a philosophical school of thought or to religious subscription. Taoism presumes that many paths are equally valid. At the heart of a definition for Tao is knowledge and the transmission of knowledge. Taoism ascribes how we come to acquire knowledge and how we transmit that knowledge to others. In that sense, Taoism is about epistemology. Epistemology is the investigation of how we come to acquire knowledge, the origins and sources of our knowledge, and the very nature of that knowledge. There are two driving political forces that affect Chinese occultism and how it has evolved into the modern era, and that's one, imperialism along with Christian evangelism across Asia, and two, the Cultural Revolution. The first is imperialism. From Christian evangelism in China, documented as early as the 6th century AD, to the Opium Wars, the first Opium War occurring between 1839 and 1842, and the second Opium War between 1856 and 1860, Western thought indelibly modified Eastern thought and culture. Subconsciously, tragically, the native Chinese came to adopt attitudes, opinions, and views of their own culture and religious practices that mirrored the Europeans. That's the natural symptom of post-colonialism, and as much as this isn't a political lecture, Chinese occultism has been marred by political forces. Orientalism pushed interpretation of Taoism and Buddhism through the framework of Christianity and Western thought. The second...
That's heavy. And as we know, that's what happened even here and even in Europe and other places of the conquering and pushing your mindset when on them. And then they take the lens of your mindset and drop their own culture. And that's kind of what's happened, part of it. And then you're going to get into what happens later, which I think she may cover in this video. If not the next, is the fact that this is when you get them that are in political power want to give you exotericism so they can control you. This is why they said this is good for the masses, which, you know, we've dead the word exotericism here. Go back and watch the video about my word of the day, exotericism and esotericism, how you make it applicable. And instead of their own culture, which you would go back into, which is way before the European in these wars of getting opium to get you high, and you know, and addicted, right? We can go through all the political stuff in the conquering, but this is not what this is about. But she's kind of in showing you how it's got scathed. There's been another lens. It's not really their lens put over it, and then. But I'm here to show you in the occult thing, there is way more connection in the knowledge of East and West without anytime politics, which I call polytricks, gets involved, they're always going to mar stuff. They're always going to give it they'll put their dirt on it.
The political force to impact Chinese occultism is the Cultural Revolution, which took place roughly from 1966 to 1976.
Political.
There was a great purge of all antiquated Chinese traditions. All forms of native religion, shamanic practices, and occultism was seen as backward, superstitious, and to be reviled. Anyone who practiced the old religions were condemned. Family grimoires were burned unless the...
So the same practices that governments do the same things no matter where they do it at, right? Whether it's us, whether it's Europeans, whether it's Africa, and of course, whether it's Asia or China, always will do the same thing. So they try to take the power away from what their ancestors had, which we've seen here and in Europe when you're dealing with, I come from Europe, I'm definitely connected to the Irish and the Scottish. And they have their own practices of doing things which Rome tried to destroy, and it was very successful in destroying or getting rid of it in power. Same thing here. This really is, the revolution of this is spurred by Chinese, the same one, communism, which we've seen the left liberals pushing here. Yeah, that's what you're pushing. You can't be very smart to see that's what you're pushing. You'd have to be pretty non-intelligent to see that that's what's being pushed. It's always wants to put something that's truth down is the whole world 500 years 1,000 years later, that's crap, that we're the ones, when really they brought the truth and you're hijacking it and you're the crap. I'm gonna be honest today. I like this. You see there's the same, humanity's all the same, and I don't care what your race, what you look like in your outer. Man, our bones once we die are the same, and they start disintegrating the same. They're the same color. Let's go.
Those families were fortunate and wealthy enough to smuggle them out of China. Lineage masters died without ever passing on their school's traditions to students, and so the tradition died with the last lineage master. I got a little ahead of myself there. We'll revisit this when we talk about history in video number 2. Now, I think we need to make the distinction between exoteric schools of Taoism and esoteric schools. Exoteric Taoism, which is probably what you think of as entirely Taoism, is focused more on a philosophy of life. It's about how you can live in harmony with the natural forces. You live in submission to nature. You make peace with whatever comes your way. You are the yin. Nature and fate are the yang.
Now that's a decent exotericism. That's not Western. Western's crap. Lies, indoctrination. That would actually be one side that's not bad. Your harmony with nature is called exoteric because it's outside of you, which is really truth in the exoteric view. That's actually better than the West. Light years better. And let's hear what the esoteric meaning is. It'll probably be the same within.
Esoteric Taoism is in part religious Taoism, but it goes further than that. It's about a metaphysical science and technology to control natural forces. It's about living autonomously and in control of natural forces. You are the yang, let nature and fate be the yin. Both are considered Taoism, and yet there is a notable tension between exoteric philosophical Taoism and esoteric religious and mystical Taoism. You see this dichotomous tension play out between exoteric Buddhism and esoteric Buddhism as well.
In the next video of this series, I'll be giving you a history lesson, but an occult one, in which we discuss esoteric Taoism and Buddhism through the dynasties of China. If you want to stay tuned, hit that subscribe button.
Wow. That's very, very interesting because it's no different than ours, except I can't find that our exoteric in the West as being as good as their exoteric dealing with nature, because they try to conquer nature. They consider nature, which the Chinese consider exoteric, as being esoteric here, by getting rid of the plant medicine, calling them all kinds of names that we see was called through the conquering of the ones from Om, at a R in front of it, and them putting medicine and calling medicine man, and the villagers calling him all these names and giving him a bad name, and the religious masses just go, ooh, they're this and that, when really you look up the word of some of these words that they used for calling names of people, and you said there's actually name is good, what this word means, but we've been programmed to believe it's not. And then it's slipping my mind what I'm talking about as far as the word. I'm thinking when they would call us, when they would call people like heathens, and I'm not thinking of that word, but there's another word that means villager, and it's slipping my thought right now, but it means villager. Villagers grow plants. They grow plant medicines. They're doctors. Real stuff, not the Western. Yeah, that which I don't buy at all. Yeah, this is very interesting. I like how she puts it. I'm seeing the similarities, and then, of course, the history she ran into, how they stamped out their traditions. And if you look at that thing, she didn't say it, but I think she'll say it on the next video that she's talking about, because she's doing this was the first of a 6-part series she's doing, is that and I'm going to do some more of this Asian. She's got a lot of stuff, and there's not many who teach it to the Westerners outside of their tradition. When I looked it up, I mean, even when I did it, it said her name. It didn't say anybody else's name. There is another person that popped up saying it. I will look at them, but she's very equipped, actually, and stuff like that with what she's doing. I really like her. Benebell Win is her name. Benebell Win. Benebell. Benebell, if you wanted to sound it out in English, but it's a Ben, E-B-E-L-L, and Wen is W-E-N. So this is very good stuff. I very much like it. I'm correlating the Eastern and Western occultism, how really similar they are. There's a little difference in some aspects, nothing to push away when it's just a mindset of what it is in a culture. And that's very few. Most of it matches up, which you will see the elixir of life is an elixir with their alchemy. That's why you see Chinese medicine, or finding the drinks and the potions, is very, very part of what they in their alchemy is part of it. Where our alchemy is really more Western alchemy is based on Arabic alchemy, which is turning a metal into a higher metal, right? That's exoteric lab work. The esoteric of that is turning your humanity, lower metal, to gold, divinity, higher metal. So you guys have a great day, and I appreciate every one of you. And yeah, we're going to do some more of this. I know this one was very short, but we will do some more of Eastern and Chinese and Buddhist and Taoist and Confucius, esotericism, alchemy, every aspect of even the stuff I taught, even exoteric, even mysticism, Buddhist mysticism, Tao mysticism. They say, I pronounce it Tao, but it's Tao, but it is with a T in their language, okay? You guys have a great day.